What is the role of the judiciary in Indian democracy? Before you and your friends start playing a game, do you all agree on some common rules? What happens if anyone breaks a rule? You are likely to take an action against the rule breaker or may just forgive him. Since you and your friends form a small group, it's easy to take a decision within the group. But what if somebody in your country breaks a rule? Can all the people sit together and take a decision against the rule breaker? No. That will be a very difficult thing to do. So, who should decide? It is the role of the courts to decide the punishment of a rule breaker in a country. The courts in India resolve a variety of issues or disputes between different parties and deliver justice based on the laws of the country. The courts can take a decision that no teacher can beat a student in a school, or how should the water of a river be shared between two states. The judicial system can also punish the people for specific crimes. The types of works done by the judiciary in India can be broadly categorized into three major areas. They are dispute resolution, judicial review, and upholding the laws and enforcing fundamental rights. There is a structured mechanism in the judicial system to resolve disputes between two or more parties. The parties could be two or more citizens, citizens and government, two or more state governments, or center government and state government. The judiciary is the final interpreter of the Indian Constitution. Therefore, if the judiciary feels that a law passed by the legislature violates the Constitution, it can quash that law. This power of judiciary is called judicial review. Upholding the law and enforcing fundamental rights is another very important role of the judiciary. Every citizen of India enjoys the fundamental rights provided by the Constitution. If a citizen's fundamental right is violated, one can approach the court for justice. The topmost court in the country is the Supreme Court of India. It was established on the very same day when India became a republic, that is, on 26 January 1950. It is in New Delhi.
Squabbles between siblings or among neighbors can be easily resolved through talks. However, when a conflict turns insurmountable, the parties involved often seek the intervention of India's judicial system. Our country's judiciary is independent and powerful. It cannot be influenced or controlled by either the legislature or the executive branches of the government. This ensures that courts can enforce our country's laws in a fair manner. India's judicial system works through an integrated network of courts. Decisions of higher courts are binding on lower courts. To understand the structure of India's judicial system, let's trace the journey of a typical case. Depending on the nature of a case, it can first be filed with one of several subordinate courts at the district level. The various subordinate courts include civil courts, revenue courts, criminal courts, and Nyaya Panchayats. Civil courts hear cases related to the rights and obligations of individuals. Examples of civil cases include property disputes, divorce proceedings, and financial transactions. Revenue courts hear disputes between the government and individuals regarding the assessment of land revenue and the maintenance of land records. Criminal courts decide on cases that concern the violation of India's criminal code. Examples of criminal cases include assault, bribery, and harassment for dowry. Nyaya Panchayats are a component of the Panchayati Raj system at the village level. They hear petty civil and criminal cases. Appeals against the decisions of the Nyaya Panchayat can be made in higher courts. A Lok Adalat, or People's Court offers an alternative to lengthy judicial procedures. A Lok Adalat provides speedy and affordable justice at the urban local level. Cases are settled amicably and in an informal setting. In several states of India, the judgment of the Lok Adalat is final and cannot be appealed against in a higher court of law. The various subordinate courts fall under the purview of the High Court. The High Court is the highest judicial authority of a state. However, the central government reserves the right to extend the jurisdiction of a single High Court to union territories and to other states. A state's High Court ensures that the state's subordinate courts follow due judicial procedure. The Supreme Court lies at the core of our country's judicial system. The Supreme Court is the highest court of law in India. It is also the highest court of appeal in all cases. No appeal can be made against the decision of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is located in New Delhi and it is presided by the Chief Justice of India. The Supreme Court has the power to interpret the Constitution of India. It can invalidate the actions of the executive or any law passed by the legislature. The hierarchical structure of our judicial system ensures that courts at the various levels resolve conflicts, administer justice, and uphold the laws of our nation. Think about this and discuss. This is Shanti. Shanti has decided to stop working at her employer's home because she was being overworked and underpaid. This is Jamila. She too works at someone's home, where she is often verbally abused for the slightest of mistakes. Until recently, domestic workers like Shanti and Jamila had to silently bear the injustices meted out to them. Due to their meager wages and vulnerable social standing, they could never undertake the fight for their rights. In the year 2002, the Human Rights Law Network filed a public interest litigation on behalf of the National Domestic Workers Welfare Trust and other organizations. In its petition to the Supreme Court, the network demanded that people like Shanti, Jamila, and millions of domestic workers across the country be granted the right to minimum wages, regular working hours, holidays, medical assistance, and protection against harassment at work. The Public Interest Litigation, or PIL, was devised by the Supreme Court in the early 1980s. The Public Interest Litigation enables any person or organization to seek justice in cases that concern the greater common good. A PIL can be filed in the Supreme Court or High Court. It can be filed against a local, state, or central governing body. For instance, the PIL on behalf of domestic workers was filed in the Supreme Court against the Union of India. It doesn't take much to file a PIL. Sometimes, even a simple letter or postcard can become the basis for a public interest litigation. This way, people belonging to all strata of society can demand redress for violation of their rights. Did you know that in certain instances of grave rights violations, the judiciary may take action without a PIL by issuing a notice in suo motu cognizans? Suo motu is the Latin term for of one's own volition. So, what was the outcome of the PIL filed on behalf of India's domestic workers? In 2008, the Government of India enacted the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act. This act ensures the welfare and social security of our nation's unorganized workforce, including domestic workers. The states of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Bihar and Rajasthan have taken steps to set a minimum wage for domestic workers. The states of Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu have passed laws governing the welfare of domestic workers. Thanks to the public interest litigation, people like Shanti, Jamila and millions of domestic workers across the country have begun to see an end to their plight. In recent decades, the public interest litigation has become a powerful tool to alleviate the exploitation of our nation's disadvantaged sections of society. Think about this and discuss.